So I want to welcome Christina to Profitable Pursuits. I'm really excited to have you to learn a little bit more about your business and to share your wisdom with our audience. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to connect with you.
Awesome. My favorite thing about the online space is that you get to meet people and hear different stories and learn different tools and tactics that if we didn't have this online community, we wouldn't be able to do this.
Exactly. Yeah, I love how we met in the podcast group that
Yeah.
across the states. I actually had an interview with somebody from Canada the other day, so I'm sure you're going to reach all different types of people.
Absolutely. So why don't we jump in? Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your business, what got you here? Give us the goods.
Yeah, so that would be a really long story, so I'll just tell you the kind of Cliff Notes version, but I am a pharmacist by trade. And I was a burnt out pharmacist working 12-hour shifts at a corporate chain. I had a health coaching business on the side for a while, but I never really hired a coach to help me learn how to actually run a business, right? So I got my certification for health coaching and I went through all those steps, but I was never able to go full time, which is what I do now. So back in 2019, I was so burnt out. I was on Zoloft because I was just so anxious all the time, working those long hours in a pharmacy, not really doing what lit me up. So I felt like that flame inside of me, that light was just like burnt out completely. And I just decided, I'm like, you know what? I am quitting my job and I'm going to hire a coach. So I hired a business coach and invested a lot of money in myself that year. And I realized that while the strategies she was teaching me were working, there were still a lot of these blocks that I'm going to kind of talk about today that were in the way. So I had a lot of unworthiness, a lot of fear of charging for my services. I had people pleasing patterns, like every single thing that somebody could have, like perfectionism, all of that. And that was really coming across as a block to being able to attract more clients. So I started doing, I'm actually trained in hypnosis. So I'm already kind of in that energetic space of knowing that our beliefs create our reality and all of that. But I really did some of this deeper inner healing work that I now do to release a lot of these blocks and barriers that were getting in the way from me being profitable. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because that's what we're talking about today. So my unique blend of how I work with my clients is I look at the internal energy and transformation of what's going on in your subconscious mind, your identity, how you see yourself. Do you feel safe to shine and be your authentic self on social media so that you're connecting with people and not just talking at them? So it's that inner work, but also the strategy, obviously. So a lot of new business owners struggle with getting those, getting new clients and getting quality leads. So I use specific strategies and systems to help them to do that so that they're anchoring in safety and decreasing levels of burnout within their own body. And they feel safe to shine and show up and reach more people and hold more clients. And then obviously having those strategies and systems in place. So I like to say running your business from ease, pleasure, and power is really what I love, because I don't want to do something that doesn't feel good. So if it's not pleasure led, obviously there's certain things that we have to do, right? We can't just sit here and be like, let it rain money. But I really teach that philosophy that what feels really pleasure led for you? When do you want to work? What are your boundaries? How do you want to use your energy every single day? And I think that our energy is really our most powerful currency that we have, because everybody talks about time and money, but how are you using your energy? Are you worrying and sitting there in the back of your mind, there's that constant stress and worry, like, oh, where's the next client coming from? Or are you grounded in yourself and you really know, this is my zone of genius, this is what I have, the channels and the ways to strategically place yourself in front of other, people that are your ideal clients. So that's kind of the energy that I roll with, that I think is really powerful. And it's helped me just have more peace, honestly, in my business rather than running from hustle energy.
Did I catch that correctly? Did you quit your job before you were really into?
Deuces. Yep.
Wow. And were you like, how did you make that transition? Can we talk about it that a little bit? Like, that's
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah. So like I said, I saw
I
that it,
mean, and we're quitting a pharmacy job. Like, we're not quitting like your entry level,
yeah,
and like no shame in entry level, but like I just want to put some context. Like, you quit a
yep,
amazing
six figure.
career.
Yep. But I realized that I would rather make 60 grand doing something that really lights me up rather than that. And that is me. That's my own personal thing. But anyway, I surpassed that. But I I realized that I was standing behind this counter every day. I had thermacare patches because my neck, because when you're a pharmacist, you're looking down, checking orders. My body was telling me this is not good for you. And I had to wear these patches on my neck. My back and neck hurt all the time. I had anxiety because when you're a pharmacist, I'll just give you a little bit of context. There are no breaks. So
Right.
like you have to create your own breaks. And so I realized that my well-being and my health and my mental sanity was not being taken care of at that point. And so I just said, I call it my fuck it moment. I hope I can curse on this podcast.
Yeah, do it. Be
Okay.
you.
But I just realized that I'm like, you know what? I didn't have a rich husband. I didn't have a trust fund. I still like, I don't, love my husband, but he's not rich. But it definitely took a leap of faith. And when I'm very committed and I'm dedicated and disciplined. So when I do something, I went all in and I figured, I mean, if anything, I'll go back to it, which didn't happen, but I just, yeah, took that leap of faith and now I feel really excited. And of course, there are stresses that happen in a business. Of course, that's going to happen, but I feel liberated. I can make my own schedule. I went before this and I got a manicure pedicure.
I love that.
Yeah.
Um, So obviously a big part of owning your own business in order to be able to go out and get the manicure or make your own schedule is really the first part is like finding, obtaining clients. If you were to advise those listening today, how do you go about obtaining clients? How do you go about connecting with others so they want to work with you?
Yeah. So I want to just hone in on the word you use. So you said find clients, right? So it's still that oh, how do I find clients? How do I obtain clients? What if you could attract clients? The shift in the energy, right? It's like
Okay. Wow.
magnetizing. It's a lot less of that effort and a lot more of I get to show up in my brilliance. And through your messaging, through, these kind of topics where, maybe you're expanding your audience or you're networking or you have centers of influence that can tee you up and say, hey, go work with this person. That's how you start to build a business from more ease and less of that like leaning in effort. Like, how do I get them? Right.
Right. So then let's talk about like
Yeah.
attracting clients.
So yeah, so this is I'll kind of break it down from because like I said, I'm always looking at like the energetic perspective, but also the practical things. So I have weekly needle mover action steps that I do every single week. That's the easy part. The energetic part is getting out of our own way so that we can really show up as ourselves and authentically connect with our audience. So I find that when you share a part of your story, and I tell my story a lot, that's how you can really connect from your heart because we can't connect from our brain. If I'm like, hey, this is how you run a business and da 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 da, you're not going to connect with me. When I started telling you about my story, you connected that way. So that's one thing I would say is really being able to share your story and feeling safe to shine in your business because a lot of people don't. They're hiding behind masks and certifications. And I get that too, but let's be raw and real about what we go through, what our transformation was. So that's the first thing. Then it's also about what are the subconscious beliefs that you have. Is it like that you have to be like the good girl that in your business and like you have to people please people in order to make everybody happy, but then people run over your boundaries. So it's kind of like the patterns, the beliefs that you hold. I call it a multi-dimensional approach because it's kind of looking at the individual person and seeing. I can dial in very quickly with people because I'm so intuitive and I've been doing this for 11 years, but I can see like, this is what's blocking you. This is what we're going to do to release it. And then this is your brilliance. So let's dial that up. I actually just did that with a client this morning. So I would say it's really about connecting with yourself and knowing that you have gifts to share and that you can get out of your own way so that you can really shine, so that your people can see you, so that they can find you. And then, of course, creating those maybe like strategic partnerships, getting into podcasts, which is, what I'm doing here with you. So it's all of those things, but it's less of that like hustle, like, oh, I got to get the clients.
I
So
love that. Like my biggest takeaway from that, and I hope others take away too, is one, step into like who you are and take the time to figure out who you are and be willing to share that.
yeah,
Um, but there's also a lot of strategy, right? As you just talked, like you have needle movers, you strategically network with other people.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, super cool. Thanks for sharing that. Obtaining clients is like obtaining or attracting or
You're gonna start
um
watching your language now.
right, I'm totally gonna try to shift my language for sure. It's just one piece of the puzzle though when
Yeah.
we're running these profitable businesses that really let us like live life on our terms. uh what strategy, tip, trick would you, I hate the word trick, but like what strategy, or like I think of like the brain emoji exploding, would
Yes.
you really credit to like like your business blossoming and booming? Like what if you had to like put one thing on there?
Your questions are really great, by the way. I love your questions.
Thanks.
I would say what first came to my intuition was create some kind of container where you can nurture people, kind of like what you're doing here, right? With YouTube. So you pick a social media platform and I call it circulating your wealth. So you're sharing information, you're doing giveaways, you're providing value through bringing on experts, and then you share what you know and you make offers, right? So create some kind of, whether it's a Facebook group, like I have a Facebook group of 2,600 people, or a newsletter list. You talked about that before. Have somewhere for people to land so that they can kind of get like, think about, when you go to like Baskin Robbins or something, you're like, oh, can I like try the sample of butter pecan or whatever? People want a sample. They're like, oh, let me see what this girl's about.
Yeah.
The more that they get to know you and the more that you show them, hey, like this is what I know, right? You're empowered to profit. That's what I would say, is to give them those samples and say, and love on them. Like I really, when you give from your heart and you pour from that place that you're like, I want to be of service to these people, and whoever is going to come back, that is not my job. So my job is to show up, to circulate my wealth, and then the right people are going to be attracted to my energy. So I think that's where I think a lot of people, myself included, I'm like, it's that letting go part of the like, okay, like what now, right? And so it's trusting that, those weekly needle movers. So maybe that's like part of what you do every week is following up with leads, or putting out content and then giving a call to action. You're putting that out there and trusting and knowing that somebody is going to say, hey, I love what you're doing. Let's partner. I also want to this is coming through to share too. Let's expand the definition of wealth. So like for me,
Yes.
wealth is
Yes.
like a helpful, like what you're doing for me right now is, I'm like so grateful. You're allowing me to come on your platform to circulate my knowledge, and that to me is abundance. So connections, collaborations, a helpful opportunity, networking, of course money's in there too, but think of all these other avenues that you're receiving all the time. So I think it's important to acknowledge that too, like especially if you're newer in business, you're like, oh, like I don't have clients, or I don't have the number of clients. I want you to just pause and see everything that you do have. And with appreciation, you start magnetizing more, right? So it's just keeping in that energy of like, I am always supported and the right people come to me. And I pray, actually, I don't know if you believe in God, source, spirit, anybody listening, but I pray, I'm like, God, send me the people. Like, I am here, open arms. So I think that's helpful too.
I love that. This is why I love doing these collaborations. Coming from an accounting firm and an agency, we're so strategy and numbers and spreadsheets driven. I wanted to expand the conversation because it's more than just your spreadsheets, your numbers. It's bringing in people of different experiences who look at things attracting versus obtaining, right? It's
Yeah.
so important to like have a wide breadth of conversation, and that's exactly why Profitable Pursuits was born. That's why I want to bring in guests of different experience who aren't all accountants or boring. I like to make fun of ourselves boring finance geeks so we can hear the different ideas because it all works in a profitable life to you. Like we're all on the internal journey of this profitable pursuit is individualized. And I think it's extremely important to hear different mindsets to it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I'll say when you're open, that's when you start attracting those opportunities. And I love that you're really open to hearing those different perspectives because I know mine, it's not, I know pharmacists are very analytical and logical too.
Yes.
So they're like, wait, what? When I start talking about this, but yeah, it's my belief. So
I love it. And what I keep getting from your conversation is like, and I don't know if these are the right words, but they're the words I'm going to use. It brings in a little bit of woo, for lack of a better
yeah,
word, with strategy. It's not like
yeah,
one or the other. It's like there's
yes.
a big strategy behind what you just said. Very like we have needle movers, we follow up, we do the work, but there's also the woo and being open. Is
Yeah.
that a fair like categorization?
Yeah, you can say that. I've definitely been called that before. And to me, it's what I say to people is all parts of you are welcome. So like we're marrying this analytical mind with, the spiritual, whatever, woo, whatever you want to say. All parts of you are welcome. None is bad or wrong. It's not that the analytical mind is bad, but often that's where fear lives, right? So when we're in our mind, there's a lot going on up there. So what I do is really try to anchor people into their heart and really move from the mind into the body because oftentimes it's a protective mechanism that some part of us doesn't feel safe. And often, especially with money is very connected to survival. So whenever we're getting triggered in our business, some part of us doesn't feel safe. And so that's what I teach is really and bringing that safety back into your body because when you're in a 9 to 5 or a pharmacy job, there's that external safety, right? There, you're getting a paycheck every week. It's consistent. When you come into entrepreneurship, it's a different game. It's a different ball game. So it
Yeah.
requires a lot of that internal safety that you need to have so that you're not all like this all the time. And oh my gosh, like worrying and all of that, which again, it's nothing's wrong. It's just how do we create a business on a sustainable foundation that you have some more of that peace in your business so you're not always constantly worrying and thinking about all these things.
I love that. I like to pose this question, and it's for myself and the viewers. I think it'll be interesting. If you were to build the business you have today with all the successes and the opportunities, and as we discussed, success is way more than just dollars, but that's certainly part of it. How would you build the business you have today in half the time?
Yeah, so I always think of the word ease. So I would say find people who can refer you business. So it's like COIs, right? Centers of influence. I would say really dial in on I call them your rare and regal soul gifts. So if you look at Taylor Swift just came to town and did and like sold out the whole stadium of Heinz Field or
Right.
whatever. No one else can sing like that. She has a rare gift that is valuable. So all of us have that. I always say your wealth is within you. So you have treasures within you, your gifts, your story, your accounting, whatever it is that you've done, and using that to say, okay, well, how can I help my client collapse time so that they're not spending time on the internet Googling da 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 da? Own that. So owning your rare and regal soul gifts, I would say, which for me, like I said, I can look at someone right away and be like, okay, these are the blocks. I translate energy essentially. Like, these are the blocks. This is how we're going to shift it so you can get out of your own way so that you can be profitable. And then these are the needle movers and what feels pleasure led for you to do. And then I would just say, to also, like I mentioned this before, creating a container where people can come in and learn and try the different strawberry ice cream or butter pecan ice cream that you have, that they're like, oh wow, I really like that, and I want to keep working with this person. So that's what I would say. Like, those are kind of the three things that come to my mind.
Cool. I love that. One of my favorite parts of the internet is the opportunity to meet other people and also to be inspired when people share their big goals and their dreams. I think so often outside of the entrepreneurship space, we miss the opportunity to hear like big goals, big dreams. It's not like your average conversation from my experience. So with that said, if you're willing, I would love to hear like what's next for you, or like what are your big goals or dreams that you're currently working towards?
Yeah, so I actually just accomplished one of my big dreams. I had a conference, a big, I called it the Healers in Healthcare Conference. I had 35 people there. And then 20 people bought the virtual option. And yeah, it was great. So if you go on my Instagram, you'll see there was a video that was that, like a promo video that my photographer did. But I love speaking. I want to inspire people. I actually, I didn't tell this in the interview, but I, back in 2012, was homeless and broke, and my parents kicked me out of my house. That's a whole other story. But essentially, coming from that and being able to build a business that inspires other people and shows them what's possible, I want to be able to just tell that to as many people as possible, because I think that's what people want. They want to hear the hope. They want to know it's possible. They want to hear, don't give up, because the light's at the end of the tunnel. So I want to be able to reach more people, and that's part of why I wanted to do this, all these podcasts, because I know that I have, and all of us do, really, we all have gifts to share through our story. And so I would love to speak on a big stage with, like, I don't know, TED Talk. I don't really care. Just put people in a room and give me a microphone. So that's what I would say. And then, like, circulating, I was talking about circulating your wealth. Like, I give 2 scholarships every year to my alma mater. So 2 pharmacy students get $1,000 scholarships, because that's when I got kicked out of my house. So it's kind of like my way of paying forward, or I guess, what's the word, like paying it forward, yeah, to like younger students who want to be entrepreneurs. And so I get every year those 2 students are always like, oh my god, like, you changed my life, and like, thank you so much. Like, not change their life, but like, this made such a difference. And so I wanted, with that wealth, and I say this to God all the time, I'm like, I will do good with whatever you give me. I will do good with it. And so I want to have a great life, of course, but I also want to give back to the pharmacy community, which, that's near and dear to my heart. So I think doing all of those things are really important to me.
I find your story so interesting on so many different like facets and levels. And one that I just connect with automatically is that like the pharmacy, the analytical, the science.
Yep.
And then I just love how you could take that and then you just merge it into this entrepreneurship, which is like a gift of you just constantly giving back and bringing out the light in other people. I love that about
Mhm.
your story. I think
Wow.
that's so cool.
You just nailed it. So I guess whatever I shared really hit, because that's exactly what I do. It's like bringing out the light in other people. And I'm getting chills as I'm saying this, because yeah, that just really, I received that. You got that from what I do, because that's really what it is. I have been through a lot of different, I was, engaged, homeless, all of these different things. And we all have our own version of that, right? Like, maybe it was divorce or a health challenge or something else. Like, my husband had a plant layoff or whatever. And we all go through these trials and tribulations. And it's like, how do we turn that pain and transmute it into purpose, into gold. And that's what I always say, like, I help people turn their gifts to gold, because that is a gift. It is a gift. Like I grew up in a very strict household, physical, mental, emotional abuse, all of that. I personally see that as a gift now that I'm on the other side of it, because I know that I have such deep levels of compassion for humankind. So when somebody comes to me and they're like struggling with whatever that is, I can meet them where they are, because I've been to the fucking depths of hell. Like, I have been there. And so that is a gift. Like, my compassion, I can bring that through in my business. And so I think it's kind of like digging for the treasure in whatever you've been through, and then using that in your business. So
I love that. And I am so glad that we got to connect. What is the best way for people to stay in contact with you and to get into your circle and to feel all that light that you share?
yeah, so I decided I wanted to give this as a gift if you're open to it. I have a couple freebies that I'd like to give away. One is a monetize your magic guide that literally shows you step by step how to build or how to launch your profitable business. And then I have
Awesome.
another one that it's a collection of 40 meditations that I have created, that are going to help you along your healing journey so that you feel safe to shine. So I could give both. I don't
I
care.
would love
I'm
to.
just,
I would love to link all
yeah.
the things down below.
Yep.
I think people will just experience opportunity
Yep.
and increase their own knowledge if they are in your space. So I will definitely be sharing all those down below and throughout our email as well as our Facebook group. Thank you.
Awesome.
So cool. So I want to thank you for spending some of your time and sharing and giving back to our community. And I'm really excited for everyone to get to know your story and experience your gifts a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, please connect with me, Facebook, LinkedIn, Christina Fontana, on Instagram at the Pharmacist Coach. I'd love to connect with you as well.
For
I
sure.
really
Yeah,
enjoyed
let's do
this.
it.